I know it's important to talk, but not in the first row, please. Listen for a historical introduction. How were hedges used in the past and what can we learn from it for today? How can that inspire us? And we found someone with a combination that's hardly difficult to find, a design person by profession, and who discovered hedges as a topic of their heart by photographing them. And if you look at this, you've seen his pictures, his name at the beginning on the pictures. So this is Christian Kaiser, and we are looking forward to your presentation. This is your applause.
Ja, vielen Dank.
Yes, thank you, and welcome again to the International Hedge Congress. I'm very happy to be sharing some history of the hedges with you. Hedges, thorny bushes, enclosures have been around for at least 3,000 years. In the Iron Age, people took thorny bushes to protect their settlements and their minuscule fields against wildlife, against intruders of any kind. And of course, there were no fences at the time. And you've heard a lot from the benefits hedges offer, like protection against wind, keeping the cattle in or out, protecting crops, and keeping animals away from that. This is what they call as sweeping out. And from the aesthetic point of view, the hedges structure our cultural landscape, and with that they support the feeling at home of the people. They are attractive for recreation and for tourism by now. Sometimes it does rain around here. So value addition is something that's important for hedges today. In the past, the leaves were used as fodder. The dry leaves were used to put in the stables for the animals, and the fruit, cranberries, blackberries, blackthorns, loads of things were used. Only a few people know today how to use these fruits as food, making fine products from them. And there are some experts who have specialized on this, on the maintenance. Trimming hedges is important, otherwise they will turn lines of trees not fulfilling their function anymore. And this trimming of the hedges, cutting them back, today creates a virtually CO2 neutral fuel. This is done by companies and large style with big machinery. It has to be fast and quick, just in time. But also the farmers have a lot of work with it still. Oftentimes, they have to do the last touch-up of the roughly cut hedges and trees by machineries, which are just thrown over and go to the shredder, to the chipper. They have to go and maintain them, tidy them up in winter. And if you've seen that work, you see it's hard work. The thorns prick through all gloves. That's no fun to do, and hedges are at least two things. Of course, they link up people. This was done, and it's a community work in the past. Still in UK, still today, there are hedge laying days, so to say. Unfortunately, not here. And I'd like to share a slide from a place around near Hamburg. There is lots of blackthorn hedges.
Oh ja, thank you. Genau, dieses Ding, diesen frisch geknickten Knick,
this is
wollte ich Ihnen nicht vorenthalten. Vorne Weißbuche,
quickly
ganz beliebtes,
just lane over hedge with a hornbeam in the beginning, some hazel, also indispensable, quickly growing plant, one of them without thorns and home to many bats, and in the back also a hedge with oak trees, surely 100 years or older, and the blackthorn, which is which has a magic to it for me, in early spring, showing some white, reminding you of the snow. And well, looking at the work, this is a farmer, a traditional farmer, who really cut the hedge himself. The wood is on the truck behind him, on the trailer behind him, and he is chopping it up. I had to look for one of these for many years. I found it in the museum first, and here I was lucky to get one in action. So don't look at this from HSE point of view. It's years from the 50s, chopping up the wood so that it can be put into the oven where it was fired.
Ja, jetzt komme ich noch mal zur
one thing
Bodenreform des
on the reformation of the land consolidation, which is often called coupling here. This happened in the middle of the 18th century, and Schleswig-Holstein always was a region with little forest under the administration of the Danish crown, and they always needed wood to defend themselves, to build ships and so on. So this is why there's little woods, few trees in the region, or no forests. So this large amount of hedges, which in parts, as we've just heard, this richness is not based on natural origins, but on an order of the king, who issued an order close to Flensburg, ordering the Academy, or the Royal Academy of Denmark, to make a plan which looked something like this. The Nicholas Oest was the author, a member of the Royal Academy. He traveled throughout Europe, looking at what can be done in order to protect the forest from further devastation. And at the time, the cattle was kept in the next nearby forest. And of course you can imagine if you put the pigs, the geese, the cattle in, and they graze through the forest, they would simply destroy it.
Also hier kommt
So here,
schon
in
1767
1767,
einer
we have
durchdachten
a well thought out
wie kann man
idea of how the fields could be restructured.
von dem
How can they
Weideland und damit
be
wieder von den
separated from the grassland for the animals?
Draht gab's nicht.
There was no
Und
wire at the
wäre also
time,
teuer gewesen, das
and
hätte
it would have been very
kein Bauer
expensive.
stemmen können,
No
an so eine
farmer
Rolle
would have
Draht
been able to
von
afford
etlichen
it.
100 Metern zu kaufen.
Hundreds of meters
Aber
of
Dornenwerk,
wire, but there
diese
were
ganzen,
thorns.
Dornen, wie
All the
Weißdorn,
thorns,
Schneedorn und so weiter,
hawthorn, blackthorn, all of that was already in the forest edges, and they were taken. And the first thing that happened was they dug trenches along the boundaries, double trenches, put the earth on a bank and planted plants on these banks. This is what you see in the top the area. That left person has a tree in his hand, and the right person at the top of that little field is holding a spade or a shovel, and then they plant. And there were some details like huge rocks, many stones on the fields, leftovers from the last ice age, 12,000 years ago, which went over north of Germany and Hamburg. It's not just short of Hamburg, and these big rocks were used in order to use, because they had to use everything which was available regionally, so they split up the stones and the rocks, making doorsteps out of them and curbstones, or they simply made a fire on them and burst them away. And this is just the list of what we see on the pictures. We have the two men digging, we have the planting of the trees, the splitting of the field, and the layover. The laying over at the time was done with sharp knives, cutting the wood, which we see here, for example, the scrubs, up to half, and then they dropped over and were laid on the bank of the hedge. This comes from the word knee. We bend over something if we move, want to sit. This is where it originates from. In German, these are very similar words with identical origins. In Lower Saxony, the country just, or the estate just below, to the south of Germany, they called it Over. And we've heard about the big trees, the old trees in the hedges, left there as a resource of building material, which was the most important building material at the time, providing energy as well. And as a little anecdote along the side, which I found, Theodor Fontane, a poet and author, went to, he was a journalist in the Danish-German War, and he came to the island Holness, wondering about the minuscule fields. They were as big as a garden only, and where he came from, Brandenburg, he only knew big fields. And in the north of Germany, there's still different small hedges with small fields. When I fell in love with the landscape and the hedges, I had to take airplanes to take this type of photo. And you see here the structured landscape,
das sind
and that
typischsten und
is
wertvollsten
the most typical and most valuable ecological
Elemente
elements in
Schleswig-Holstein,
the
im
landscape
gesamten
in
Hamburger
Schleswig-Holstein
Randbereich
and all
auch,
around Hamburg.
zu finden und auch durch die
And
Bukeer, ähnlich wie in Schleswig-Holstein als
the
Landschaftselement.
Bukeer, similar as we have them here, protected,
Das ist ganz wunderbar.
and
Und
that's
ich
very good.
danke nochmal
And again, I
allen
thank everybody
Zuhörern,
who's
Vorrednern,
listening and all the speakers before me for their interest
Hecken
in Hedges,
verbinden,
Hedges
schützen.
connect, and
vor Klimawandel
hedges
und
need protection, and they protect
Ganz herzlichen
against
Dank, Herr
climate
Kaiser.
change and
Sehr
global
maximal.
warming. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaiser.
Sie kriegen auch eine
So
Marmelade
you
auf Schnee
will
oder
get
Hagebutte,
a
weiß
jam.
ich
I
nicht,
don't
aber am
know
Ende
if
der
it is
Runde
hip
machen wir
rose
einmal
or
für alle.
blackthorn,
Ganz
but
herzlichen Dank, denn
we'll
wir
do
wollen ein
one for
bisschen
all
Zeit
in the end,
gewinnen.
just
Vielen
to
Dank für
save
die
some
Bilder,
time.
für